Hi, I'm Archie Tillett from Tillett Racing Seats. Today we're going to answer some of the commonly asked questions that we get here to sort out any questions that you have. Okay, so the first most commonly asked question we get is about the rib pain. So the main culprit of it is being too tight in the seat. So what you're after is you want after a firm feeling, but not too loose, not too tight. You should feel like you slot into the seat, but don't have any sort of preloading before you go into the corner. You should just feel like you should take a nice deep breath. No restrictions, no pain, anything like that. If you are, get on about having a new seat, go in for another sizing at your local store. Make sure you're comfortable up top. Don't worry too much about the hips. Always focus on the top, sort the hips out later. You can deal with hip issues, but rib problems, that will knock you out for the weekend, possibly multiple. So focus on being nice and comfortable at the top, worry about the hips at another day. So the other questions we get on sort of sizing is how can the rib protector help with that? So one of the massive benefits with our rib protector, this one being the FI homologated P1 Defender, is that we pride ourselves on how thin we can get them. So they're still very strong and firm where they need to be, and the foam is extremely good on taking impacts. But one of the things that we really wanted to narrow down with this is the width, because you don't want that interfering with your size of fit into the seat. Otherwise, the bulkier the rib protector, the less true to fit it's going to be when you're driving. So you're going to preload the ribs, it's all going to be too tight, and it's a downward spiral from there. So it's really important that your rib protector fits you well. You'll have a minimum amount of sort of distance between you and the actual seat, and then you get the best feedback and obviously the best results from that. So another key one that we always get asked is about the not running with seat stays. So our seats were traditionally designed to run with seat stays. In cadets you can get away with it because you're not overloading the top of the seat too much because the main pulsing point is quite high. But obviously in bigger karts, typically with the new style, people are not running these days, which is absolutely fine. You can get around it simply by using one of our plates. So what that allows you to do is it evenly spreads the load around the main bolting point without stressing the seat too much. Otherwise you might see some sort of stressing in the kidney areas. Sometimes you could see stress cracks into that sort of point. The seats were always designed for extra seat stays, but obviously with modern sort of changes that are coming through, people were taking them off. But again, easy fix. So one of the other commonly asked questions that we get is how do you get into the kart properly? So the way I would like to suggest it is similar to how you see OK drivers jumping in with a bump start, or how they used to do it in the sort of old F100 days. So like this, so put your hand on the steering wheel, hand on the back of the seat, and just kind of blow yourself in like that. It doesn't have to be this big sort of scene. The reason for that is that you don't want to put stress unnecessarily on the wrong places. So a lot of drivers already have a lot of lead bolted onto the seat, which is fine, but obviously if you're going to stand right in the centre of it, you're putting a lot of weight between two little bolts. It's a very thin laminate at the end of the day. They're not designed to be pivoted in that sort of way, so you are going to most likely start stress cracking it, and it's going to cause some problems. So lowering yourself properly, and you'll see a longer life of your seat. So one other great question we also get asked is how do you deal with the hip pains? So typically this is caused from being too tight in the seat. If so, you want to try and get yourself into a big seat size. But the root cause of it, if you ever feel like you're getting a lot of bruising, cuts, you shouldn't have to be putting up with that. It's an easy fix for it. So if you've already got padding down the side of your seat, take the foam out where your pelvis bone sits. We intentionally leave a little pocket inside the seat to kind of relieve that pain if you fit the seat perfectly. But if you are going to, if you've already got the foam in there, chop it out. You want a nice even amount of pressure on your hip and your pelvis bone, an even distribution of it. Otherwise, having a load of foam in the bottom of the seat to keep you still, all that does is it put a focal point right into your pelvis bone, and it goes downhill from there. So one of the big problems that we see, especially with newcomers to the sport, is how you hold yourself in your kart. So if you're driving and you're finding that you're pulling on the steering wheel, or you're feeling really fatigued really quick, it's most likely due to how you're holding yourself. So if you're driving and you think you're going to go into the corner, you can start pulling, your arms are going to get fatigued really quickly, your core's going to get ruined. It doesn't need to be that hard. All you need to do is push on the steering wheel. And what that does as well, if you're experiencing rib pain with that, is that you are pushed, you're pinned to the back of the seat, you're using your shoulders to properly support you. All of a sudden you're not having to contract your core as much, your arms more or less don't have to do anything, and you start loading your ribs up in the proper places, and you'll be able to see the lap times start to come down. You won't have to think about fatigue, everything will just come easy after that point. So another great question we get asked is why do we put the chest plate on the inside? So obviously a lot of other manufacturers, they've decided to put it on the outside. We chose to put it on the inside. So what this allows us to do is it matches the driver's chest shape even better. Because it's nice and flexible, and after a period of time it actually starts to mimic the driver's chest, you're able to get it nice and tight, a lot more flush to the driver's chest as well, so it's not as in your way. So when you do suits up, it's all good. You don't have to get a whole new suit to adapt to this new big bulky chest. Also, when you're going down the straight, it's not as cumbersome, so it's you've got a lot more movement, a lot more freedom in it, while still having a nice strong protective chest piece.